Gentlemen, just to let you know, we are having trouble with sound now again.
The whole mind, this isn't a man.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it, that was in midair going across the road.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail. And the whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right outside of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
There are thousands of perfect people whose word would be good on any other subject, who describe getting a good look at an enormous hair-covered upright animal. And that is a fact.
And good evening, cyberspace. And we are getting an echo as usual. I don't know why, but all right, it seems to have stopped. Let me just do one quick thing here, folks. Sound problems are never ending with this show lately. Okay, I think we got that straightened out. So, evening, everybody. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, March 22nd, 2020. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. And, of course, our guest, Chris, if you mind doing the point thing, our guest down there is Mr. DelRio. How are you? And we're all practicing our PPE and social distancing. So, hello, everybody.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys.
So,
how's things going in New York, Steve?
Things are going fine. I just need to check the Facebook feed because it looks like our Facebook feed's not rolling again.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, our Facebook feed is rolling. There we go.
Okay.
It just popped in. All right, excellent. So just making sure that we're all here, and hello, everybody. Hope everybody's safe. Hope everybody's feeling well. And you know what? I don't know how I can breathe in this thing.
I can't either. Let's just skip the social distancing and the PPE.
Woo. There we go.
Can we hug now?
That's better.
That thing's muggy as hell.
Oh, no. Corona. Okay.
Hey, you know how you kill corona? Lyme disease.
Yeah, with Lyme. That's right.
Lyme disease, yeah.
Well, we really hope everybody is doing well out there and hope everybody's feeling well. And
absolutely.
It's kind of a very sad time, very pensive time for our country right now. And for the entire world, actually. I mean, you think about it, this is one of the things that's affected everybody globally, not just nationwide. And if there's any positivity, hey, I'm out of work for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I just got a phone call from my company just prior to the show. They said, well, we're expecting a return date somewhere around the 2nd of April. I know that earlier in the day, I got the tentative work schedule, which has it actually the following week. So what really happens, I'm not quite sure. What's going to happen, I'm not even quite sure myself. But I know I'm probably going to be out the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm going to make the best of it. For those who live in New York, they've waived the 1 week unemployment for New York State. Nationally, they've put a ban on evictions and stuff like that. They're also putting, at least in New York, they've put a ban to any bank fees, credit card fees, or, for late fees and stuff like that. My advice to folks out there is just to get to your local government website and see what executive orders have come down. And let's not all panic. Let's not all be subject to conspiracy theory. And there's a lot of people out there saying this is going to be martial law. And, from the folks I'm hearing, yes, they are prepared for it, but they don't really see that happening. So, they're going to quarantine certain areas that have like high outbreaks. But, people say, well, New York State is the lead in outbreaks in the U.S. And the fact is that the majority of it is in New York City, nowhere near me. I mean, we do have some cases locally, but they're in a couple of hundred, maybe 200-300. Nothing where you should be afraid to walk out and get a breath of fresh air. But again, you want to play it smart, and I recommend that everybody play it smart. And just enjoy your time at home. Enjoy your time out. If you need to go to a park and take a hike by yourself or with a friend doesn't have, any issues, go ahead and do that. You need to, take care of your head as well as your body. And that is probably the number one issue is, gyms are closed. So, and I know for Abe, that's going to be a tough one. Abe's got his own home gym, so he does it at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but for folks like me, my gym closed over a week ago, and I'm a little irate. I'm a little ticked off because they charged me for my monthly membership this month. I'm like, really? You're charging me my monthly membership? Now you're closed, so I have no friggin' way to say hey. So I'm like, you dirtbags.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
You charge me my $20 a month gym membership when you're not even open. That's pretty bad. So I'll be.
There's a few things that I've noticed here in Kentucky. Like we normally,
like your wife.
We normally go to the Dollar General store on Saturdays, and because they always print out this like a $5 receipt. I mean, like a $5 coupon. When you spend $25 and you get $5 off, and it's good on Saturdays to redeem. So normally they always do that, and we used to go normally every Saturday. Well, this Saturday they didn't do that. They didn't have a $5 off. But, it's okay because they didn't have any toilet paper on the shelves, and they didn't have any meat, didn't have any bread, didn't have any milk. It really is kind of odd. But
yeah. So how let me ask you a question. What's your gas price down to, Chris, out in Kentucky?
I don't know, Steve. I hadn't bought gas in a month, and last month when I bought gas, it was like $1.99 a gallon. That's the first time I'd seen it below $2 ever. Since 2004, something like that. And so I was glad to see that. But now they did have one dealer in a station in I think it was Greensburg or Campbellsville, Kentucky, which is not too far away from me, about half hour or so. And one of their guys was selling gas for 99 cents a gallon.
Yeah, I heard that. Isn't that wonderful? Gas is cheap and we can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's just great. That's the way it works out,
Abe, what's things looking like? And of course, for folks who don't know this character underneath Mr. Bennett's head, that's our good friend Abe DelRio from Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. And Abe, it's been a while that we've had Abe on, so I'm glad to welcome him back. I was like, we haven't had Abe on in quite a while. I was like, I got to get him back on this new format because we have a blast.
It is.
So how is your things going with you, Abe?
Everything is going great. I can't complain at all. We're just moving forward, living life, and not letting things I guess you say, slow us down here. Yep, it's definitely, people say it's a trying time, and I don't think it's trying at all. The only thing that we have forgotten how to do is how to be human and watching out for one another, and I think that's what it all comes kind of down to, is just that common courtesy, to be honest with you, and helping one another out in the time of need.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Other than that, everything else is going great. Life is good. I'm healthy. People I love and know are healthy. You guys are healthy. I can honestly say I don't know anybody, and I'm very blessed to say I don't know anybody that has contracted this virus that's going around there. So that's a testament right there, and prayers being answered.
Yep. And Abe, since we've seen each other many years ago, you have undergone quite the transformation. I mean, you're a buff, health.
Beefcake.
I was obese. I will be the first one to throw that out there. I was unhealthy in more ways than one. But I've persevered in life by the grace of God yet again. And I totally changed my life around.
Sure did.
It was I used to weigh about 280 pounds at one time. And, through transformation and constant working out and taking care of myself more healthier, I guess you could say, I got down to 162 pounds at my lightest before I started working back out again, and just kind of like building muscle up from the ground bottom. And now I'm trying to get back under 200 pounds. And I got to say congratulations to my brother, we've kind of been going back and forth and supporting each other, the Shadow, Jeffrey R. Thomas, and reaching under his 200-pound mark. So that it can be done. It absolutely can be done. But I do got a picture of what Abe used to kind of look like here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and right now I've been healed in more ways than one. I no longer walk with any kind of assistance or a cane. I quit smoking. I've been going on so completely sober for over 5 years now. No more drinking or anything like that. And yes, absolutely, the Lord has broken my chains of addiction. So,
and that's the beautiful thing about that, is that you found the spiritual bounce back first.
Yeah.
And then you let that build into you all the rest. It started at the top with your head.
Yeah.
And then it just filtered right on down.
And that's how I had to work the program, spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Mm-hmm. And that's awesome. Totally 100%. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You were definitely an inspiration. So
thank you. Thank you.
I remember you used to walk. Yeah, I forgot you used to walk with a cane. I forgot about that. Wow. So
that's a God story in itself too. So
thanks be to God.
Absolutely, life is going great. I have a second chance at it, and I'm making the most of it.
Amen to that. I agree. But we've been having a little fun with social media on this whole thing, and the way I'm trying to look at it is try to give a little people some humor. Although I got to admit, today I was a little cranky. I don't know why I was cranky. It just it does build up on your mentality. So folks, don't think that that being cooped up is it's going to be perfect. It's not going to be without its bumps. But I've tried all week long to have a little brevity. This is a perfect time. And like I've been showing people, pandemic got you bored, go squatching. And that is probably the root. And, I've been kind of trying to make people laugh a little bit. People haven't seen these. This was social distancing day one. As you can see, I was just it's nice to have a break, and I take it off. Social distancing day 2, the hell with coffee.
That's
So-
sanitizing the insides.
That's it. That was just, make sure social distancing day 3. That was the Sopranos marathon, which is still going on now as we speak.
Jeez. Wow.
6 seasons. What the hell? So that's social distancing day 3. And today was social distancing day 4. And I'm showing off my culinary skills. And instead of spraying down the grill with a non-stick spray, we use Lysol today.
Cooking with Lysol. Okay.
So social distancing day 4. So what will tomorrow bring? I haven't the slightest. But then again, I have no idea what the next day is going to bring. So you're just going to have to tune in tomorrow on Facebook to see and Twitter to see what antics I'm going to pull off. And that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get up tomorrow, going to putter around on the computer. Got to see if the attorneys are open because, I do.
I'm looking at the comments over here.
I haven't. So, and I apologize with all this. With all this going on, I haven't seen the comments because I didn't have it clicked over to that. Because Jeff, there he is. He's piping in. Good old Jeff Thomas.
Yeah.
And
Jeff, to put that comment where he starts out says Pookie.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, that's right.
That's back from the days when we were known as Pookie and Chip.
That's because somebody called Chris Chip by accident. Yeah. So Chris ended up getting the name Chip.
God.
But yeah, so this is kind of cool. We can put the comment. Abe is new to this platform, so it's kind of cool. We can throw the comments right up there. But
That was cool.
But we're gonna get onto this Bigfoot topic here in a minute. But it's kind of fun to catch up and reminisce. And that's right. You're gonna get Suzanne Varentek says you're gonna get out in the woods and do some mushroom hunting soon.
True story.
And you know what? That's quite a skill to pick out the right mushrooms. And I remember growing up, I used to do this. I used to, as a kid, a lot of people don't know this. When I was 13, 14, 15, and 16, I had my own landscaping company. And I worked with my best friend. And we worked with this old guy. He was the father of he was the owner of this pizza place's dad, and we used to clean the pizza place up on Sunday mornings. So we were too young to actually work in the place. So then hello BJ, good to see you here tonight,
BJ.
So anyway, what would happen was he'd say, "Hey guys, you want to do some extra work?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." It's all about money. So as a kid, I used to make like $1,000, a little more over the summer, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But we used to clear properties and stuff like that. But the old man used to drive, and he had all the tools, and he would say, "I just want 10%." It was a very business-like thing. He taught us a lot about business, and but that man would all of a sudden pull over on the side. Oh, hang on, boys. He'd pull over on the side. He'd tootle out of the car, and he'd come back with a handful of mushrooms. And we're like, dude, don't those make you sick or poison? Or, oh, no, you got to know how to pick them. And boy, he knew how to pick them. He would come home with a basket full. Be like, every time we had this one job up about 14, 15 miles out in the country from where we were. And man, we knew that was always like an hour-long trip back or a 2-hour-long trip back because he was always going to stop and pick some of the mushrooms or check his mushrooms. And because they grow pretty fast, if my memory serves me right, Abe.
They can. They
can.
And
so he would pick them, and then like a month later when we're out there doing the lawn care and stuff like that, and trimming hedges and pulling stumps and stuff like that, he'd stop back and pick out some more. So that always amazed me how some people can just do that and just come out and say, "Hey, I want I want to, do that. So that is a tribute to you, man. Your skill is good.
The mushrooms are good too, and there's just so many different ones out there. And it's all about learning them, because there are a lot of them out there that are dangerous and can get you sick, even some that can kill you too. But I had a good teacher, and so then I just kind of passed that forward, and we have fun doing it. It's another reason why I'm out there, looking for more mushrooms. I mean, I'm a researcher at heart. I'm doing knocks. I'm always keeping my eye out for any type of possible structures, or any type of impressions, or something like that. My ears are always open, and so it's more than just mushroom hunting. It's also squatching, or should I say squatching, with the cover of mushroom hunting as well.
And Jeffrey, of course, says, I get my mushrooms from a guy named Snakes on 3rd Street.
Yes, we know all about Snakes. He stands there with his coat open, going like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Friggin' Jeff.
Oh, me.
But now Snakes is on 3rd Street, and he holds up with his coat, and it's got all kinds of hand sanitizers in it.
It does.
Yeah.
Hey, you want one?
And the other side is toilet paper.
Do you want the 2-ply, or do you want the special 3-ply?
Oh, that's great. Love Jeff.
But so what's let's get into a little bit of news, and a lot of people are making a pip about this series of pictures going on here. There's one of them, the Bigfoot in the window, and there's a whole number of them, and I just want to cover this real quick. It's really hard to say. You look at them and you're like, I don't know. There are some interesting ones, though, that I find interesting, is that in each of the photos you have this little blip here. And that is the only interesting issue to me. And there it's more pronounced. And then if we look, are we looking at another window, or are we looking at a projection into the window? So it's really hard to tell there. But anyway, these things have been making the internet by storm. And I actually have the actual story. The man who submitted these photos, his name is allegedly Jeffrey Yeoman, and that's spelled Yeoman, from Bailey, Colorado. And so here is what he had posted about the photos. Okay, and this is quoting him. It says, okay, so here's the story with my photos. So my wife and I, bought 11 acres of land in Bailey, Colorado. We built the foundation of cinder block that is about 3'6" above the ground. The land is mostly hard, packed dirt, and large rock, which I shared a video of when we bought it. However, and as an editor's note, I haven't yet to see that. After we moved a modular home there, we lived off and on there for 2 years while we got it ready for permanent residency. In August of 2017, we were finishing the interior of the back of the house, and I came into the living room and caught a whiff of a very harsh odor in the room. It smelled like rotting animal flesh, vomit, and excrement, which I find kind of interesting because that's not quite what people have described that as before. I caught glimpse of something moving outside the window from the corner of my eye. We have had bears visit pretty regular, but they tried to get under the house, not in it. But when I see the figure by the window, I thought a bear had somehow climbed up to the window. I took a lot of wildlife pictures because they literally come up to the outside of it like mule deer, elk, bear. Now, very interesting thing. I've looked at the gentleman's Facebook page, and I have yet to see any of those wildlife pictures. Just saying. So there's a lot of stuff he's saying he does that I have yet to see any evidence of, just as an FYI. And in my view, everybody, as I go on with the story, remember, the strength of a picture is the strength of the story behind it. I mean, people can argue the objectivity and be subjective and have a lot of these subjective opinions about these photos. People can say, well, it looks like somebody projected it on the screen, or it could be photoshopped, or it could be somebody in a mask, or it could be the real thing. You know, we're not going to find an answer to the picture. And I'll explain that in a little bit as well. Why? So the only thing we have really to go on is the story behind it. And it's based upon that you can actually get some real critical analysis from. And I've always said that, put the picture aside. People too much get hangups on how a picture looks. Well, it looks real because of this, or I think it's real because of that. Put the picture aside. What's the story behind it? If there's no story, you can't say the picture is real. You have nothing to back it up. But here we have a story. So that's why it's really important that all of these little things, all these little hints that are given with the story, they need to be checked out. And Chris Noder, a couple of things, and Suzanne gets it. She says context. Mark Detker says, the plot thickens. Chris Noder says, I don't buy it. So it's very important that the story is really what we need to focus on. So again, he talks about taking a lot of pictures of wildlife. I've seen quite a few feral cats all over my property, but they aren't mine. But they hang out a lot anyway. I saw the top of the head, and that caught my attention. And it moved closer, and I saw its eyes were freaking huge, and it scared me because bear eyes aren't that large or far apart. I always have a camera handy to get a good shot of the elk that come extremely close to the house. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When I realized it wasn't a bear, fear struck me hardcore. I used a cheap Kodak Sport digital camera for taking pictures for the most part that takes fast action pictures and video. Okay, interesting to hear that. It was on the end table next to my recliner, approximately 6 feet from the window. When I pointed it out the window, it stopped swaying and closed its eyes as if it was a child. You can't see me if my eyes are closed. So shaking and trying to video at the same time, I moved back a step, and it slowly moved from one side of the window to the other. It was seriously about a 10-minute video, but it was on a 1 by 1.5 inch card, and it had to be downloaded on my computer. I'm assuming when he's saying a card, he means an SD card.
Yeah. Surely. Yeah.
It didn't make any attempt to enter the house or run away. About 8 minutes in, my wife came into the room and asked me what I was doing. I told her there's something outside and it ain't no bear. When she looked over my shoulder and screamed, "What is that thing?" and ran back into the bedroom. I stopped the video, went to the closet and grabbed my .40 cal off the closet shelf. When I turned back around, it was moving away from the window. I wasn't going to shoot at it, but if tried to get into it, I didn't. That's what it's saying. I went to my wife, who was freaking out, and tried to answer her bombardment of questions. And after reassuring her about everything was okay, she called the sheriff's department and they sent 3 deputies to check out the property. Their conclusion was most like a bear or other wildlife until I showed them the playback. When they reviewed it, 2 of the 3 were impressed, and the 3rd was like it's a bear. Anyway, the rest of the night was uneventful and peaceful. Okay, so let's break that down a bit. So, where's the video? That's a good question. I don't have that part in there where the video is, but apparently the video was on his mom's computer, which his mom's house burned down in a fire. Very convenient. Very convenient. So all we have left are these pictures. But to me, it seems very contrived. I mean, he did this for 8 minutes, and then with 2 minutes left, his wife comes in and panics. Wait a minute, you're telling me? And the other thing I found interesting is he's in a recliner, and the thing is there, and yeah, it just doesn't seem right. The storyline itself, you're doing photos of this and you're taking videos of this, and not once do you say, "Hey, honey, look at this."
Mm-hmm. Come here.
But
Check
but
this
his,
out.
but his
Yeah.
wife shows up and goes, "Oh my God, what's that thing?" and runs out of the room. Yeah,
Huh.
sounds kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah, the smell of it sounds kind of weird. The fact that the original video got lost in a fire at his mother's. Well, why isn't there? You have this camera. Well, I have this camera, but I downloaded it to my mom's computer because my mom has a computer. I didn't. Then why have that camera in the first place? It doesn't ring right to me. I mean, why would you have a digital camera if you don't have a computer?
Like he's getting rid of all of the loose ends, basically.
Yeah, I think so. So, Abe, a lot of people are asking, they want your take on stuff. Go right ahead and what's your take on it first off? I mean,
When he was describing that was kind of like the same description that they were giving of the Minnesota Iceman the first time when they could smell through the melting ice. The photo itself, I mean, it has the eyes are blacked out. I wish there was something in that frame that we could all recognize as a size for scale, so we could actually kind of get some type of a size of what's in that picture, that window right there. Otherwise, I mean, that's really, and the nose of that thing is really huge and bulbous as well. Which has, I mean, I think we've all heard that in the past of it being like huge bulbous or more of a human-shaped nose. You can see the brow ridge just right there, peeking over that window. The brow ridge. Did he give a description of how high that window was up from the ground or anything like that?
I believe in his descriptions he was saying it was like 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still, I mean, the very black, dark eyes. We've heard that before. But also, then again, I have contacts that black out my whole eyeball as well, and I think those are pretty dang cool, and they freak people out. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen one. I still have not yet to see one, but the description of them, it seems to fit. But then again, there's just so many in the context. There's just so many inconsistencies and red flags being thrown up. Like if I were to see something like that, I mean, I can see. I'm playing devil's advocate here, trying to get both sides. You're so. If I seen something like that going in my window, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? And my camera's right there because the elk comes up close. That's another red flag. How many elk come up close, that close to a window when there's, the ungulates usually stay farther off unless you're feeding them or something like that. That's when they start to come closer. Anything wild usually keeps its distance. But if I have something like that and I see it, I'm grabbing my camera, I'm going to be a little shaken too. So I can see that part of that as well. Why he didn't say, "Hey, honey, come here."
Yeah,
he wants to get that footage and try not to spook that thing off until she comes in. She sees it.
Yeah. Well, my point would have been very, very simple. Why wouldn't you tell your wife that something out there is like that? Hey, honey, we got something outside the house here. Don't go out. She might want to step out into the porch.
Well, no. What I would have done had it been me, I would have said, "Hey, honey, my billfold was laying up on the ledge of the window and it fell out in the yard. I think there's about $900 in that. Could you go check that for me?"
Yeah, you would. That's horrible, Chris. You can tell Chris is the only married man on the staff.
Should be right outside my window, right there on the ground. Just pick it up, and I'll give you half what's in there.
Yeah, you got life insurance on her, don't you, Chris?
But here's the other interesting thing too is that it's very apparent here in the picture that the window is open, and what you see is the screen there. So that is one thing. A lot of people ask me, he didn't state if the window's open. What you have to look for is behavior. Is this person behaving like a normal person would? And I say to this, no. He is fitting the evidence to he's fitting his behavior to the evidence rather fitting the evidence to his behavior. If you kind of understand that. In other words, okay, I want to put these pictures up. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, this is what I was doing. This is what I was doing. But in reality, if you see something like that, You're not gonna sit there and hold the camera up there. You're gonna sit there and get a flashlight. What the hell is that? That's your first move, is to figure out what it is. But his first reaction was to grab a camera. And he sets that up by saying, well, I've taken picture. Well, I want to see picture of elk out the window. I want to see picture
Where's
of
the elk
bear
picture?
out the window.
Yeah.
I want to see picture of this other life out the window. It does not exist on the film. On his Facebook page, I've looked at his Facebook page, and there's pictures of horses, there's pictures of other animals, but they're in a wildlife setting. They're in an outdoor setting. They're not pictures of it out in a window. Mm-hmm. So the story does not make sense from that point.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I agree with you. And when we do see, I see more pictures of people taking up deer in their front yard, sometimes through a window, but still the deer are a good distance away from the house itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one of the first things, and I've said this 1,000 times, when you see a Bigfoot video with a child involved, here's an example. Mr. Bennett has a video of a Sasquatch on a hill. They had a young man with them, and their first thought was, well, we better get out of here because we have a youngin' with us. Right. So a lot of the behavior you see on these videos is, oh, look at that. Look, son, there's a Bigfoot. No, if you see something like that, just like if you saw a bear, you'd be worried about protecting the child.
Right.
That's natural instinct. That's psychology 101. The same thing here. He's got a wife in the house. There's something peering into the windows, and he's not going to say nothing. He's not going to say nothing to his wife. I find that dubious.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your wife walking out onto the deck encountering this if he thought it was a bear. And then why did the third deputy think it was a bear? I mean, obviously, looking at these pictures, why would anybody think that's a bear?
Right.
Yeah. So he's trying to throw that little bit of a skepticism in there. And there's 3 deputies. So my point would be to that, and this is what we have going on in progress, is a FOIA request to, I believe it's the Lake County Sheriff's Department in Colorado, to see if this report even exists.
Yeah.
So is it BS?
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't add up there, Steve. A lot of stuff. And you made the perfect point here. Is if this dude looked out the window and saw this peering back in, the first thing he would have probably done is wonder where everybody in the house is and are they safe?
Right. Exactly.
That's the first thing. We got to take care of what's at home first.
And of course, now you see, am I ready to call this BS? I don't call anything BS without the evidence. So, and just so people are wondering, there is a comment in here that says, I downloaded this video on my computer at my mother's house because she has internet access and I didn't. Long story short, my mother's house burnt down on a fire we had out here last year. Okay. So that's, very interesting to,
I wonder if the SD card burnt too.
Well, what I think we're actually looking at is maybe pictures of a picture. And Chris and I were talking about this before Abe got on, is that a lot of hoaxers are doing now because of ELA. If something is photoshopped in a picture, they're taking a picture of the picture because without the original, an ELA test is useless. Right. So that's why I'm very leery of people saying, hey, I would like you to email me the original picture, the original file at this email address, because Facebook has a way of compressing pictures and changing them, taking away their metadata and all that stuff, and kind of making it useless. Yeah. So they have found this medium to post it on Facebook, number one. But number two, taking a picture of a picture and then sending it. No, that's not going to work, and that's not the original file. The way to prove this picture is a phony is, getting, or not per se, is to provide the original file. And that's what I would tell people is, hey, listen, you want me to authenticate this, you need to send me the original file to an email address where I can take that and run it through, processing to ensure not just to myself, but to the public out there. This picture has not been manipulated. It's how we caught Todd Standing with the blinky thing. You could see where that the trees were manipulated in through the ELA test. So it was a layered picture. And you can actually see that if you look at the picture, there's 2 levels of focus on there, and you can't have that in a normal camera. So, my point is, again, if you don't have that piece of evidence, you have nothing to go but with the story. And this story and the beautiful thing about this, though, is this story provides stuff that you can actually have, can get documentation on. He says he makes claims that he took all the pictures of these animals outside the window and stuff like that. Don't see it. He claims that he had sheriff's department. We're in process of getting verification or denial of that fact. So there's some things we can do. And when they come back and you see, then the excuse is going to be, well, they must have not filed a report. Well, when I do a FOIA request, I'm not just looking at the actual police report. We're actually looking at the call logs, and we're looking at the 911 logs.
Steve, also with that, if his mom's house burned down, that would have to be on record as well.
Absolutely. And you would think that there would be a media article about that. Now, I will say this. There is a possibility that the man named in this series of photos, which he's come out and said his name is Jeffrey Yeoman from Bailey, Colorado. He states that, here it is, but information I'm finding is that is not his real name. So, or he is completely off the grid. So that makes me kind of wonder, because he's been off the grid for a long time. So it's either that or this guy is not really who he says he is, because there is a Jeffrey Yeoman in Bailey, Colorado. I've already done the homework on that. And it's not this guy. It's not this guy. It's not this guy's picture. It's not this guy's Facebook picture. And the guy who's the real Jeffrey Yeoman in Bailey, Colorado, the one that I did find, he would have nothing to do with this kind of thing. It just wouldn't make sense.
Right.
So because he lives in a very suburban neighborhood, he has a very astute job. He's a vice president of a bank. So it's not this Jeffrey Yeoman. And this Jeffrey Yeoman doesn't come up anywhere near Bailey, Colorado. In fact, the search actually searches all around there, and there are no other Jeffrey Yeomans. So is maybe his middle name, and he goes by that? Well, that's possible, but there's none from Bailey. So, you have to kind of look at some of that kind of minutia when looking at this. And that's what I do as a private investigator. That's what you look at. You look at intelligence, and we're information brokers, and we analyze the information we get. And when you do a background and a search for a person, you actually can paint that to see where this person's been, what they do, where they've lived. And Jeffrey Yeoman from Bailey, Colorado does not come up. And supposedly this happened in 2017. So if this guy got a bill from anything, power, cable, internet, because obviously he has internet now because he's communicating on Facebook.
Could be a mobile account.
Doesn't matter. He would still he would definitely still have it. We had a little bit of a blurb there. It doesn't matter. He still would have a paperwork trail. If he's married, he would have a paperwork trail.
Yeah.
So not only is he off the grid, but his wife's off the grid too. Some things are not starting to add up.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to do that. You would find a footprint of this guy somewhere, and you don't. So to me, what that's saying is that his real name is not Jeffrey Yeoman. That this may be entirely a bogus account that's been up there for a couple of years. That's with the purpose of putting these out there. And I do believe that he probably did put them out there in 2017 and nobody paid attention. Just saying. Don't know that for sure. So, but that's what, yeah, well, well, no, not really, but that's what a private investigator does is, as an intelligence broker. I mean, whether it be actually, and a lot of people don't understand that it's either going out on the ground in observing somebody, doing surveillance and obtaining video, that's information. That's people's movements, information. You can do that via computer as well, looking at a person's footprint, basically from a computer standpoint, where they've lived, how long they've lived at a certain place, where they, what kind of vehicles, what, all kinds of stuff like that. This guy, there isn't even a driver's license on this guy. So I don't know.
Yeah. Weird. He's like the invisible man.
Yeah. Well, it's, he doesn't exist. And when that happens, I don't think he's a government employee, so let's not go crazy there. But I really think that that the issue is he's let's put up Abe's stuff.
Yeah, I keep staring at that face, and it looks like the eyes are starting to follow me.
Reminds you of your wife. Their eyes are on you, bro.
MNBRT, Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Abe, what's been new up there in Minnesota?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? Well, I guess let's start from the beginning, right? For a lot of people who don't know, that I am the founder and director of the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. I started it in May of 2000. We are going to be celebrating our 20-year anniversary birthday party this year in May. And we are going to have one heck of a party, so to speak, by hosting a historic event here in the state of Minnesota by throwing the very first ever Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. Throughout the 20 years of being a field researcher and investigator and not seeing a Bigfoot yet, but have had many Class B encounters. Team members have seen them. A team member got to see one bluff charge me or chase me and an ex-team member out of an area. Yeah, here we go again. We've made a lot of great friends in the Bigfoot community, a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters, a few of them here in the chat room. Jordan Warner showed up. That's great. Hey, Jordan. Oh, dang, I remember when that kid was 16. Oh, wow. So great friends. I mean, you, Chris, and Steve. We got Jeff Thomas here, Jordan, Suzanne. That's Jeff. That's great. And we've had quite a lot of accomplishments as well. As far as newspaper clippings, radio shows, being on Squatch-D TV. Used to host MNBR TV, which is on Facebook, but MNBRT Radio. I started that in 2009, and I stopped that a couple of years ago. And people are like, oh, you should bring that back. You should bring that back. And I was like, well, maybe right now my life is just so busy. I don't think I'd be able to give it the due diligence that it once had. Who knows if I ever will be, but it was an absolutely fun learning experience. And that's where we have many guests come on the show, guests such as y'all, Jeff Thomas, Suzanne. She was great, awesome. And so many more people, we got to hear about their sightings. We've had artists come on, people who write Bigfoot songs, people who paint, doctors, professors, and it's really been a fun haul. But yeah, so I mean, we're going to throw the very first ever Minnesota Bigfoot Conference here in the land of 1,000. And actually, I just met with a radio show on Friday. And we're going to be doing some advertising in the local area. And I want to meet with another one and get kind of covered like we call the northern range, I guess you could say, of the state. and just getting the word out. So that's kind of the big thing. Other than that, we talked about. I guess in 2016, that opened a lot of doors for us. And what I'm talking about is when we were on the TV show, Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, when they were here in Minnesota. I love you too, Suzanne. Who's Crystal? Crystal Bennett? Okay. Hi, Crystal. I tease Crystal. She's a great friend. But doing Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, that episode when they were the last episode in Minnesota, we took them out to one of our research areas, and we've had some interesting things happen in this research area where we found a possible impression with knocks and stuff like that. But on this episode, I mean, when they go out, I mean, behind the scenes here, I guess they have a big van truck full of stuff, food, and they have stuff that's catered, that's already pre-made. They set up this table and everything, you can eat and everything. So the whole production thing is probably about 15 people or so. We're like, oh my gosh, nothing's going to happen.
You haven't seen one of my trips.
Oh man, but we were I guess really kind of amazed. We split up into two teams. I was with Bobes and Renee, and Pops, my team member. He was with Matt and Cliff. And we all went different ways. Oh man. That's funny that Jeff brings that up because Cliff talked about that once and how the possibility of that could possibly be. I don't know if there's any truth behind that, but just question for the people: does Bigfoot whoop with a Minnesota accent up there compared to a Southern accent, y'all? Who knows? There could be some kind of credence behind that. But so, doing wood knocks and what they do for the television. Is what we did.
Whoop, yeah.
Whoop, yeah. Right. Oh, don't you know? We got wood knocks. We got a wood knock or two, and it was really cool. It was just like, oh, swing, they were there. Matt heard it, radioed back, and then we were just like, yeah, this, that, and the other thing. On our way, so we spent some time out there. Again, behind the scenes, I was just talking with Pops about this last night because we were out in the woods up in northern Minnesota, walking around too, out in the field, and a lot of snow up in northern Minnesota still. At any rate, one of the guys, we had like 2 people per person to switch out batteries and SD cards for the GoPros that they used. And on the way, somebody needed something, and they had a runner, and he was running back to where all the trucks were and stuff like that. And that people know who this guy is because he's been on a more recent TV show. But at this time, he was part of the production for Finding Bigfoot, and he was running back to where the trucks were. And as he was running back, something was paralleling him on 2 legs from what he said. And yeah. So that was pretty cool. And we got to hear about it, all about it on the way back. And who this guy turned out to be was RPG from Expedition Bigfoot. And so it was just really cool. Like, hey, I knew that guy when he was just with this. And so that was cool. It was like, yeah, RPG got parallel.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So on our way back out of our location, we still go to this location, but we haven't been hitting it as hard. Personal issues has arisen, and not with me, but with some team members. It's just kind of hard for all of us to gather and go out. But when we do, we have a great time. On the way back out of this location, I noticed these 2 trees on the ground, and I was like, hey guys, look at it. And then they took over and they kind of gave that to Bobo, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool. They made good TV anyways. So that opened up like a lot of doors for us, and that kind of got us even more known to all the Bigfoot geeks here in Minnesota. I say that with endearment because we do love. I'm a full blown geek myself, just like a lot of people here in the chat. I have no problem admitting that. And so then Reamer, Minnesota, that the home of Bigfoot. That's where we also did some episodes. That was the Reamer, Minnesota declared themselves the home of Bigfoot was in about 2014, 2015. And before we filmed that episode, we were up there. We had a table and we were kind of doing like talking with the public and engaging there. And then that happened. And it's like, oh, wow, Reamer, Minnesota, the home of Bigfoot. I was just in Reamer this past weekend as well. And so like they had the Bigfoot barbecue contest. And then in September, they have the Bigfoot Bluegrass Festival with just a lot of music and good food. That's a town of a population of 370 people that turns into a couple of thousand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to make a quick announcement. We are streaming live to YouTube tonight. However, the YouTube comments, because I just went over to the YouTube page because I hadn't seen anybody from YouTube pop up, and there are comments there. So for whatever reason tonight, the YouTube comments are not coming across to us tonight for whatever reason. I'm looking at them over here. So my apologies to the folks on YouTube. Obviously, this is a YouTube issue or perhaps a live stream issue. I don't know why necessarily the YouTube comments are not filtering over. We are. I'm looking at the live stream now. That's why we had a little bit of that garble for a second because I had to mute the YouTube video. So so folks that are on YouTube, I do apologize. I'm not able to see your questions or your comments tonight for whatever reason why, but I will make sure I bring that up to the YouTube community or to the StreamYard community tonight to see what the issue is there. So, but the good news is we do have Facebook comments at least. So
yeah. Sounds like you got a couple bugs in your system. There we go. Let's get that out.
It may be the coronavirus that's messing up Steve's system there in New York. If you could just rub a little hand sanitizer on his computer, I think everything will be okay.
yeah, well, at least we still have folks out there watching. So
that's right.
That's
let me tell you, everybody, we appreciate y'all. I mean,
we sure do.
I feel you from YouTube. I know we can't see your comments over here on this side, guys, but Steve's checking them out on the other end. So hang in there.
Absolutely. So yeah, and so we've been doing that with Reamer, Minnesota, since they like a year after they started, and it's been fun. It's been just engaging and educating the people, and not just that, the people that come forward and relay us their sighting and their incidences, this, that, and the other thing. It's just really been so much fun. And so, I mean, that's by doing so with that and having a lot of family in the Bigfoot community, like you guys here and Jeff and Suzanne and Crystal, and just networking with a lot of great people throughout the years and having people on MNBRT radio. Like, you know what other better way, just to say, hey, yeah, we're going to do something, let's do it big. And so then we are going to throw the very first ever Minnesota Bigfoot Conference in late May. Actually, it's going to be 2 months today. We will probably be doing the meet and greet right around this time and doing VIP registrations and stuff like that. And I've been going to a lot of conferences. I grew up going to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. Love everybody there. Again, their family. And so, I mean, if I did not have that education by people who will put on these different conferences from Ohio all the way down to Oklahoma, I probably would not be doing what I'm doing. But, because they hold such great conferences, I was like, why not? What do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So walking by faith, not by sight on this one.
Abe, let me get your take on this, because there's a lot of people out there, not a lot, but there's a few people out there that always complain about Bigfoot conferences.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, LP, it's just people trying to capitalize and make a buck off of Bigfoot, and that's all they do. And they get so angry about Bigfoot conferences, and to me, I just don't understand why. Because I don't, I kind of keep myself in a very small bubble. And back in 2011, I went to the Ohio Bigfoot conference, and I don't normally go outside my bubble that much. But I probably next year will be making my return, because I don't think it's going to go off this year with all this crap going on. But it's kind of a cool thing to get out there and how should I say it? Yeah, network with people. And I think it's a great venue to do that. And but there's some people that got to burr up their behinds over Bigfoot conferences. Which say you to that? I mean,
and there always will be. There always will be. And you can't please everybody. And that's how I see it. The Bigfoot conference is a great time to have very smart individuals come and talk and network. It gives us that platform of sharing without being ridiculed, which a lot of people are still to this day are holding on to their sighting, where we're coming to find out, and it gives them that outlet, that freedom to speak about what they experience. I mean, heck, we've all heard a lot of, I guess you could say, some of the craziness that comes in this Bigfoot field of research. It's not just about a big flower. Orbs we've heard, and now we got dimensions. To me, first and foremost, it's important to let people know where we're coming from. And that's what the Bigfoot research team is, a no-kill team, and we believe in it being flesh and blood.
Right. Yeah.
What his possibilities is as being flesh and blood, who knows? Who knows? It's faster, stronger, and taller. So that's my 2 cents on that. I can see where there's no money in Bigfoot. To be honest with you, I'm putting everything that I have, my paychecks, my tax returns, into making sure that this conference goes out. Yes, I got to step back and say we do have people from the great town of Reamer who are helping sponsor, are giving us donations to do this and everything as well. We are open to sponsorship. If people want to sponsor, we have different sponsorship levels as well that entail different things too. We'll be more than glad, and absolutely, they will, just like at the conferences, they'll have a banner as well, depending on what sponsorship level you'd like to donate, I guess you could say, to the MBC. Vendors, I just don't see no money in Bigfoot. It's not like a great big gang, financial gang or anything.
No, it's not.
It's not at all in any way, shape, or form. It takes a lot I'm coming to find out, to throw on something of this magnitude. And a lot of it has to do, with the round trip tickets and the speakers and the venue and the food and stuff like that. I mean, just going like this, it seems like, which is fine. Because I knew from the beginning, we were never in this. We were never in Bigfoot field research for money. We were always in this to help protect, preserve, and educate people and conserve their land. And I mean, if this is what it takes to prove that, then I'm going to proceed.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I look at it this way too. I mean, do I make money at Bigfoot conferences, the few I go to each year? Yeah, I do. Do I end up spending that money I make? Yeah, I do. It's always been a break-even affair for me. So if I sell a box of books, I end up spending that on my hotel or my meals while I'm there, my travel. But what the takeaway I think is for me is getting the word out, in networking with people, because if I get the word, some of the things I see out there, it's educational. That's what I try to provide, is an education in what I write. And I don't know what much more I can do than that. I mean, I'm not out there to retire on Bigfoot or to make millions off of Bigfoot.
Right.
But if I make a few dollars here and there, I mean, Abe, running a podcast is not free.
No.
Running expeditions equipment is not free. Abe's got make sure you got to show those triceps there, Abe, when you did that. Got to show the triceps there.
Oh yeah.
All right, ladies, easy.
Beefcake.
Oh, let me stretch. Doing the Hulk Hogan.
You're right. I mean,
what you gonna do, brother, when the 25-inch pythons come going for you?
I love you guys. Yeah, you're exactly right, Steve. I mean, in the past 20 years, I couldn't even put a dollar amount on what I spent. Yeah. As far as batteries, as far as gas, as far as lodging, equipment, supplies, and sleeping bags. There's this, there's that, there's the other thing. And I lost track. And not that I just really couldn't give you a dollar amount. And so if you can make a little bit back, more power to you. I don't know why people would hold that against you in the first place. Seeing that all that we all have put out and into this, and to help bring awareness to this in a healthy way. And they got their nose snubbed up in the air. It's just like, really? Come on, grow up.
Shall I segue into a shameless plug? That's right, folks. If you're bored during the coronavirus, you can find this on Amazon.com. I don't know when the hell it's going to be delivered or if it's going to be delivered, but you can always find the new book just came out in February, The Sasquatch Playbook. A believer looking at the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch mystery through the eyes of a skeptic. Okay, enough of the shameless plug. Back to MMJ.
With that being said, we are taking donations for our auctions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Exactly. There you go. The same thing with that. A purchase of a book is supporting good research. That's research.
Absolutely.
So don't look at it as buying a book. Look at it as supporting research. And Chris right now is going, how can I play into that?
I know.
I bought Steve's latest book the first day it went on sale on Amazon.
And he didn't have to.
I probably got one, I know, but I wanted to get one of the first copies to come out on Amazon. And I got it. And I read it, and it's good. It's good. I mean, especially the section about hoax. Well, I don't want to give anything away, but once you learn about get to the section about hoaxing and you get the hoaxer's mentality, it's very good.
Hey, folks, guess what? Looks like the YouTube messaging is back.
Welcome back.
Good deal.
All right, folks from YouTube, guess what? Your messages are now showing up. So,
welcome.
So, the glitch has been fixed somewhere, not on our end, but somewhere else's. So that's a good one.
We appreciate everybody. Thank all y'all for coming in.
That's awesome. I mean, what better way to spend a social distancing evening,
right?
But hanging in there.
Exactly. Hey, Mick.
Suzanne is asking for there you go. There it is. The Sasquatch Playbook. Just Google my name on Amazon. You'll find all my books there. Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Chris. It was kind of it was kind of one of those, not to get off on the topic, but it was like one of those things that I really felt needed to be written. Look at the mystery from a skeptical side rather than, okay, everything is Bigfoot, which Abe and you, I know Abe, you're with me on this, is that we look at these things and, you have the one side of the coin where, oh, look at this picture of Bigfoot. Look at this picture of Bigfoot. We see that more and more on social media because most people that are passing these around are not really researchers. They're enthusiasts.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and the way I look at it, and the way you look at it, the way Chris looks at it, all right, we look at it from the aspect first. This is not a Sasquatch. Let's break it down. What can we say about? And it's kind of funny. Like I said, it's very true. You look at the stories behind it, and that book, and Chris can attest to that. That book kind of details the psychological side of the Bigfoot mystery, and it goes very deep into, the motives behind people that commit hoaxes. It goes very deep. It goes very deep into how to break down a story and how to interview somebody, and some of the body reactions that people have, and I give some real world examples of myself in these different interrogations, including some on the criminal side of things, and kind of breaks down how to respond to that kind of stuff, which is important. It's a tool for a Bigfoot researcher. The book really wasn't, I guess, written for the general public. It was written more for a researcher, I guess. I mean, Chris, you read it.
Yeah, it helps. I'll just tell you what, if you're a researcher, it helps you understand some of the mentalities behind the different types of hoaxers. I mean, that was what I got out of the main part that stuck with me, Steve. Not that the rest of the book is not great too. It is. But what stuck with me most was the hoaxer's mentality. It was good.
Yeah. And then I tried to add some of those the biological, a little bit of biology and earth science into it as well. As to, because, and Abe, you can attest to this, when we do this, if you really want to be a real Bigfoot researcher, there's so much you got to get into.
Yeah, there is. There's so many different things you got to learn. That you got to pick up. Animal sounds. Know your tracks. Work with plaster.
Scat. You got to know your scat too.
Yeah, you got to know your another thing, I guess, lifting prints. That's one of the newest things, I guess you can say, that's kind of happened our way. And that's recently what I just did this past February. Now, oh, wow. So all of this started last September through some friends in the community that know of me and what I do.
Yes, you do.
Through church. BS detector. Exactly. And so they contacted me about this guy who they say that has Bigfoot on his property. Me and a team member, we go out to his property just for a day in the evening. We just kind of walk around a little bit and, looking for anything. Not a whole lot happened, but they do have a very interesting impression. And if you guys, for the people on YouTube or Facebook, we have a YouTube page. We have MNBRT, and then we have Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. The newer one will be of me like this, and the older one will be of me like that, bigger. But this is a newer one. It's called Joe's Property. On Joe's Property, we have two of these videos up for Joe's Property, and you can see what he's calling the footprints. There's some type of impression that his neighbor casted and stuff like that. They're pretty interesting, nonetheless. Fast forward it to this February. So it was Saturday. Thank you, bro. That would be the old one. So the new one would be Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, all spelled out. And there you can see this guy gave me, I'm looking at the YouTube, but the guy gives me a call at 10:56 p.m. I'm laying in bed. It's a Saturday night. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it comes up, on my phone, Joel, Bigfoot Private Property. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what he has going on. But it's like the dead of winter. It's February. What's going on? So I answer it. Joel, he's a good Christian guy, and he cracks me up. And I mean this in a good way, because he calls these things pot lickers. these pot lickers, he goes, I think these pot lickers were on my deck and they were trying to look in. And I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll come over tomorrow. We'll take a look at this, that, and the other thing. There we go. Yep, that's it. And yep, Joe Bigfoot on private property is what it's called. Wow, 23,000 views about 6 months ago. Yeah, that's the one right there. And so we were out there, and he calls me, and he says, I go out there, and he's got this sliding glass door.
Notice there's Abe again with the triceps.
Oh, love it. I mean,
Let me show you this, brother.
Right here, just here. We'll sit right here for you guys. And
Oh man.
and there's these impressions around his sliding glass door that are above 6 feet. And this is my first initial meet with, and yep, back it up. These are the impressions that was casted.
Yeah, I don't want to play your video, but I just want to.
No, but yeah. So that, and then we go back out there this past February, and he's walking around, his property, telling me what he's seen, what his neighbors seen, what he's heard, where sounds coming from, and that's Joel. And then this past February,
what the hell you doing there, Abe? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of looking at my watch. Somebody's sent me something. I'm probably looking at the time or whatever.
I know what you're doing there. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, Joe. I have to look at my heart rate about this time. I want to make sure my heart rate's doing well.
Well, Bigfoot gets me excited and raises the blood pressure.
Yeah. We'll go back to the mean mug there.
Like, really? Okay, that's priceless. Long story short, guys. I lift these prints. There's actually 4 of them, but there was really 3 white beaters. That's not true. They're up in the closet. Who said that? Bob? It's winter time, buddy. I lift these prints, and here I sent the original cards to Jimmy Chilcutt. Okay, and these are the prints. Jimmy actually. There we go. These impressions, prints, whatever you are way bigger than mine. You can see, I want to get this good enough here where you can kind of make out some dermal ridges there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on a second, Abe. I'll get you on full screen here. Hang on a second.
All right. Okay.
So you want to hold that up again? I'm going to get this to a spot where we can actually get that up. I'm not quite sure. Well, hang on a second. That's how you do it. Oh.
Can you make Abe full screen?
I'm trying. There is really no way to do that. But okay, there you go.
See those ridges? Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Wow.
There we go. If these are fingers.
Are those actual size, Abe? I mean, they're not been blown up or anything. Those are actual size.
Those are actual size. Because what I did with the cards, after I lifted them, I put the tape on the backing card. I came home and threw them in my scanner, and I scanned and then I printed them. Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the actual size. I did send them to Jimmy Chilcutt. When I came back home that night after lifting them, I'm in, because right off, I'm like, those, I don't think they're fingerprints. I'm not seeing any swirls or anything like that. The ridging are pretty much more horizontal. but they are in that circular, I guess you could say, pattern. So I'm in my daughter's downstairs bathroom mirror here in the bathroom, and I'm going like this, trying to, that part of the elbow
Yeah.
could be what's going on there. Okay. And before I even sent Jimmy Chilcutt these cards, I'm going like this, and I'm trying to lean over the sink and put my elbow on her mirror. That's probably research, right? So I'm just behind the mirror and kind of going like this. So I'm trying to do these. I'm trying to recreate these any way that I possibly can.
Right.
And I wasn't having any luck. So I sent them off to Jimmy Chilcutt. And for those who don't know who Jimmy Chilcutt is, he was on Monster Quest, that TV show Monster Quest. He is a latent primate fingerprint expert.
Yes, the first time we actually saw Jimmy was on Sasquatch When Legend Meets Science, who talked about way back when.
Yeah.
That was going on 20 years.
I want to say
20.
that was early 2000s when
Well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's a retired fingerprint expert, and since his retirement, he started trying to identify, like, he's most famous for trying to identify the dermal ridges on cats, and to make a study on that. And I thought that was really interesting.
in one of his backgrounds, too, as well, is he would go to zoos and he would actually fingerprint all their primates.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they identify them as well. Because I mean, you have a rhesus monkey that kicks the boat. Which one is it? So that's how they would identify him.
And so pretty much Jimmy Chilcutt at that time, or at least during his career, has fingerprinted every known species of primate.
Yeah.
So he was the go-to guy right off the bat for me.
Yeah.
And his word is gold in my book. Okay, it's great to hear. Life's going good. Okay, so this is his first response to me after receiving the cards. He got on March. This response was on March 2nd. Got the prints. They are not fingers, but it is a kind. I think it might be from elbow. I'm going to do some tests on different parts of the body to see if anything matches. There is no hair in the prints. I would expect to see that on any other body parts of a primate. Give me a little bit and I'll get back to you. On the 3rd, I says, it's funny that you say elbow because I was testing my own elbow in the mirror, LOL, thinking in my head what I went through. I says, by all means, please take your time. The March 20th, he sent me this. He goes, I'll be sending you the prints back. Nothing to report. I have never seen this type of pattern. My guess is the elbow or the knee, but that is just a guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting, because when you watch that video of me pulling them off, I clearly have to go like this. And for a guy to get his elbow that high, of course, he would have to be on some type of a chair or a knee. That's very interesting as well. To get your knee on that height, which I can probably see right there at the patella, is probably in the same, I guess you could say, dimensions of these prints.
Okay.
So, if it is, and I have never claimed them to be fingerprints, but nothing more than disturbances that have dermal ridges, because I don't know what body parts they are. Is Jimmy stumped? Is it of a fingerprint? I don't know. I have no idea. He is absolutely stumped. But I appreciate his honesty in this. He thinks it's an elbow or a knee. But they are an interesting piece, and I will continue to work with these people. Like I said, they're good Christian people, and they seem credible. And after talking to his neighbor, his neighbor is going to give me some footage from what he said, video of Bigfoot at night.
So this was off a window, correct?
This was off of a sliding glass window.
Okay.
That leads out to that.
Here's a little suggestion I can suggest. If there's some way you can do a print of the homeowner's elbows.
Well, there's going to be his elbow, his wife's elbow, his two sons' elbow.
Right. But whoever's responding, because could it be something that not even necessarily the sons, because maybe they got up on a ladder and cleaned the window, and maybe they leaned into the window and that caused them. The very least, what you want to do is rule them out.
Right. And I thought about doing just that. And that's I was just kind of thinking, how would I bring that up? Because I don't want them to take any offense. But yeah, we needed to have this done. And I'm right there with you, Steve.
You bring it up just like any normal investigator would. Like if there's a crime, a murder, whatever. The way they bring it up is we need to take your prints to exclude you from these prints.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's just to make a well-rounded investigation. That's how you bring it up. Don't say, well, we think it's you. No, we don't think it's you. We're taking these to exclude you.
Yep. Exactly.
So I mean, do we have dermal ridges on our elbows?
Yes.
I can't see any on mine. I don't know.
As far as we have creases, we have flex creases where they go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that's because you've been leaning on your desk for too long, Mr. Bennett. And you've worn your dermal ridges off.
His elbow.
Yeah, mine's like really smooth and kind of dried up. Where I've been scraping them on the table. But I could swear when Abe, when Abe held those up to the camera, I could swear I could see very small lines, very small dermal ridges on there, and I can't see on yours, Abe.
But see, even on my elbow, there's like you can see the hairs just on the elbow part itself too.
Well, I have
and Suzanne says, Suzanne Ferenchek, our good friend, says if they want answers, they will work.
We'll work for you. Yeah, no, I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. Yep, I agree. So now it's just about getting some heat.
Like all good biology nerds, I have a microscope. And what I'm going to do, and it's one of those electronic deals, like it puts up an image on your computer screen, so you can like really get, you can move it around and still stay in one spot looking at your screen and see what you're looking at. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to start looking at my elbows and see if I've got any dermal ridges in there that would emulate a fingerprint. That's interesting.
Chris, are there any other body parts you want to put under there?
I think it's only about a 4,000 power, so
not enough. Sorry, had to go there.
It does come in handy. I mean, and they're not very expensive. You can get one off eBay or Amazon, and if you got the evidence that you want to look at, like a hair sample or something, hey, you got to have the tool.
Here's the cool thing about having one of those is that if you get a hair in the woods or whatever, and you're not sure, you can always get a good JPEG of that under the microscope, and then you can send it without actually having to send the sample itself out. You can send it to whatever scientist you choose to send it to. And you can get a pretty quick answer back saying, oh, that looks like such and such, or that, and I think that is the beauty of technology today. I mean, 20 years ago, when we first started in this crazy business, and Chris, Abe, you started this in, about 20 years ago too.
Yeah.
We didn't have that available to do back then.
Yeah.
We used to have to take the sample, put it in an envelope, and hopefully it gets to the person back. And then that's it. You don't have that sample anymore. You don't have that evidence anymore. Yeah. Now you can put it under a slide. And you're right, Chris. I think you can get those microscopes for like, under $150.
Yeah.
And they're pretty damn good. And that's on my wish list too. And I've been getting that, looking at that just for that thing, that now I can, catalog some of these things. Okay, we found this hair. Even if it's proved to be something else, it becomes part of your evidentiary record. And people don't understand that that I love putting evidence up, even if it's proven to be something else. Hell, here's the evidence we found. It turned out it was this, but it just shows your legitimacy and your honesty, and you're willing to look at something objectively. And I think that's that's huge.
Yeah, and I think if you want to get one for just looking at the hair structure underneath the microscope, I think like a 1,000 or a 1,600 power microscope is only like $20. So you don't have to buy the higher dollars. You can buy the cheaper one, and it's fine. I mean, as long as I wouldn't go below 1,000 because when you want to actually look at the hair really, really close.
Yeah,
the better microscope you got, the better you can see. But
and the better it will be to analyze for a professional.
Right,
that's huge. I mean,
absolutely. Exactly. So that's the newest thing. Other than that, we're just still getting out in the woods, guys, and doing what we do and having fun at it, and living life.
And the other cool thing about those microscopes is that they're great for looking at handwriting samples. Like if you have a document in question, is this you can actually put that under the microscope and see the pen impression or the pencil impression and see, or if, you can, let's say you're trying to authenticate a signature, and as say you get an autograph somewhere or something like that, you can put that under that microscope. That's the real cool thing. You can look at some of these things under a microscope and see whether or not there was actually an impression or a swill rather than a stamp. Which is that's one thing. Coins, there's a number of different values you can use and look at. And and you can also use them to read disclaimers on like financial statements and stuff like that. What the hell?
Right.
All the fine print. Boy, well, I'm glad to see you're at it still, and
absolutely.
And the beautiful thing is we are now into spring.
Yeah.
Which means even when all this freaking madness ends, we can get back to work and doing our thing. Somebody's going to do that. That's right. Somebody's going to take my book and say that's not his autograph. That's very true. Somebody's saying that's not his autograph. But it's spring, and I just wish this madness would end.
Yes.
It's hey, you know what? I wanted to get out there the end of April, the first week of May anyway, because I know that's when the
Look at Joe. Yeah.
Now, Joe, I would hope so. Hey, you know what? Let's run that quick video. I haven't run that video yet. So hang on. This is social distancing and Sasquatch research. Here we go. Hey, what's going on, my Facebook peeps? So I decided I'm getting sick of this pandemic and all the boring stuff that goes around with it. So we're out here squatching in the wood. Like I said, I had to make some changes on the old rigging because of the pandemic, but now we're all set. And instead of bear spray today, I'm carrying disinfectant spray. So off we go, and maybe we'll catch a Sasquatch or a video of one. I just hope we don't catch one that has coronavirus. Anyway, catch y'all later. So there you have it.
Steve, did you say instead of carrying hairspray, you're carrying?
No, bear spray. Bear spray.
Okay. I was laughing.
I have no use at all for hairspray or a comb.
Hairspray. Okay.
Or hair dye or hair gel.
Okay.
Or even friggin' shampoo.
Bear spray. Okay.
Bear spray.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking, for instead of the lemon scent flavored steaks on the grill next time, you could just hit them with a little pepper spray, and that might actually be pretty good.
That may. You never know. You never know. Actually, I've used the only thing I've used my Lysol for is like once a day I'll go down and do my doorknobs and do the hallway where we all walk into, because that's as far as that's concerned, I just want to let people know too. A lot of people don't know my very early background. When I was in my 20s, I was a paramedic, I was a firefighter, and I was actually an infection control officer. I was trained by the feds in infection control when it first started coming out. A lot of people back in the early 90s, infection control became a really big thing because of HIV, which is a bloodborne thing. So the transmission rate of that was very, very slim. You would actually have to get blood of somebody else's as a medic. If somebody was bleeding that had HIV, you would have to get that blood into an open cut. This is an airborne illness, completely different thing. It's like the flu. It's like the common cold. It's all viral. But a lot of people, the biggest thing people need to do is if they're out, they go to the store, they go anywhere. When they come back in, please Lysol your shoes, use hand sanitizer, and Lysol the carpet of the hallway or the floor of the hallway you walk into, because likely what's going to happen, and everybody think of this. Somebody made a good point to me too. If you're using a gas pump, if you're using anything that anybody touches, a self-checkout, a gas pump, you're coming in from, because let's just say you walk on a surface that has somebody walked that had the virus, and the virus is laying on there and it transfers to your shoe. You can bring that home. So not saying this as a fear factor, just be smart about it. You use a gas pump, sanitize your hands, keep a bottle of hand sanitizer in your car. If you can't find it, glove up. Find some gloves, even if they're cloth gloves. You can throw those in the washer and try to disinfect it that way. But what you want, because soap and water will kill the virus too. But if you're using a gas pump, use gloves. Use hand sanitizer after using that. Or if you have disinfectant wipes, wipe down the pump before you even pump the gas. Mm-hmm. That's very important. You don't want to. I went to the store the other day and they had self-checkouts, and I said, I'm not using self-checkouts. And the reason why I'm not using self-checkouts is because I don't, and you know what, I will say this, Walmart at least is providing sanitary wipes at their entrances, in a couple of spots. So you can go in, and that's the first thing I did. Grabbed a couple of hand sanitizing wipes, and I wiped down the front of the shopping, the handle of the shopping cart. And I threw those away. And then I took another one and did my hands and threw that away. Then I went shopping. Then when I came back, I did my hands again. Same thing. If you have those sanitizing wipes, wipe down the pump. But I was at another store that didn't provide those wipes, and they had self-checkouts. Well, I'm not touching those self-checkouts, because if somebody's poking that screen with the virus, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. Or if you use the self-checkout, do not put your hands anywhere near your face where I can get into your system. Immediately get some hand sanitizer or a sanitary wipe and clean your hands. Very important you do that. Again, the shoe thing is very important. Sometimes people take off the shoe, you might touch your heel or something like that. If you need to take off your shoes, kick them off with your feet and then sanitize them, because eventually you're going to need to touch them to put them on. So you may not touch the soles taking them off, but you may touch the soles putting them back on to give that heel a shove. Yeah. So you want to make sure that, shoelaces too, all that stuff can pick up viral stuff. So make sure you're sanitizing. And if anything, this is just teaching us in a nasty flu season going forward, how to make sure we don't get the flu or any common cold viruses and stuff like that. And as long as you're taking care of yourself like that, you're also, by doing that, you're also taking care of your family as well. Because, you have think about this. Okay, so you come in with a dirty shoe. Hey, standing there like Mr. Clean. No, actually, I'm Mr. Clean. But think of that. If you have pets and you don't do that, that pet can step on that virus and transfer it to a couch or to some place where you may not even think it's there. And
Ugh.
as far as it's showing, most of the pets are the virus doesn't affect them as badly as it does us. So, you may just those are just food for thought there to keep yourself safe. And I just wanted to point that out too. But yes, it's a nasty thing, but I think after a couple of weeks, things will start to quell down a bit. I'm pretty sure. And from what I understand, is that they're coming up with treatments really fast that are effective against it. I guess they're saying a malaria drug was effective, and now the French have come by and said that the malaria drug combined with another cocktail of other antiviral meds, that cocktail is even more effective. So now they're hoping to quash the actual rates of it and kill it quicker. And then eventually they're going to come out with a vaccine for it, which hopefully they'll include in our flu shots next year.
Right.
Or later this year, if it's out by then. But I think, a few weeks from now we'll be all.
Yeah.
And as far as I said in the pre-discussion with Chris before you came on, Abe, is that a lot of people are concerned with the economy. And yes, the economy has kind of chugged down to a standstill. But I think once things start to open and people start getting back to work, I think that I think once people starting back to work and the industry starts cranking up, we're going to be right back to where we were by the end of
Exactly.
and this is just a pause, and that's why things have gone down and stuff like that. When everybody starts getting back to work, guess what? People are more apt to buy stock, and that's when you're going to see the stock market come back up. So let's not pull the panic button and the sky is falling routine. It sucks. It's a bad deal, but we can all get through. We can all get through by one of the things I'm glad we can do this podcast, give some people some entertainment for a little while, and at least we're entertaining ourselves, and we're doing something that we love to do, and we're continuing to do that in a safe way. And if you can get out there and do research in a safe way, go do it. You're not going to catch coronavirus in the middle of a forest because that virus isn't there. So go enjoy yourself. I'm not going to say the other rumors I've heard, anything like that, because there's just so much rumor out there, folks. If you're seeing stuff on Facebook or even some crazy YouTube videos, just ignore that. Some of it's fear mongering, some of it's not fear mongering, some of it's you've got nothing to worry about. Well, that's not true. You do have something to worry about. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 340 deaths in the United States right now because of it.
Yeah.
So let's be diligent. Let's be smart about it, but let's not panic either. Let's take the medium, take the median, not the extremes, and just do your thing. Try to enjoy it. I know this is tough for a lot of people because it's tough for me. I'm sitting around the house doing nothing. What do we do? Can't go to work. I'm not really worried about, like I said to Chris earlier, I'm not worried about money because, I'm on a 2 or 3 week furlough, depending on when they decide to open things back up. My business has come to a crawl because I'm a non-essential business in New York State. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to file my unemployment. There's going to be a federal bailout. So I'm not worried about it. It'll all come full circle. There's a lot of protections in place for us. They've put a moratorium on evictions, moratorium on late fees, moratorium on credit card fees, stuff like that. So, at least in New York, there are on the banking side. Don't worry about it, folks. Everything will restore itself. The ship will right itself down the road.
Yep. Amen.
This is inconvenience, but I want people to think about a time before they were born. Let's go back to 1941, December 1941. Okay, when this country was attacked by a foreign power, and the country had to shift. Hundreds of thousands of our men and our family that were leading households at the time got shipped overseas or went to boot camps. There were nighttime curfews then. You had to be lights out at a particular time across the country because you didn't know if you were going to be attacked by a foreign power. So there were a lot of diversity, but that didn't go on for a few months, folks. That went on for almost 5 years. You know, it went on from 1941 till mid 1945. You know, August of 1945, VJ Day. So we're not the first. We're not the first generation to have to deal with this kind of action, and we won't be the last.
No.
You know, had my father been alive, because a lot of those people that were alive back then are no longer with us. But if you think about it, just prior to World War II, this country was in a depression already. You know, that country was in a depression. The country was in a depression at the time. Part of the reason why the whole war started, because the country was the world was in a global depression at the time, which led to people getting elected into positions that shouldn't have been, and then turn their countries into dictatorships. So if you all think about that, and this is my words of wisdom for the night, there's been trying times. I mean, the creepiest time I remember closest to this was the day after 9/11. You think about all the business, 90% of the businesses, they were open, but nobody was there. Everybody was home in front of their televisions. Everybody was in fear. When's the next attack? Where's it coming from? What's happening? And luckily, within a week or two, that all righted itself and got rolling.
Yep.
So that was the closest, creepiest thing. This is for a little longer term, and that's kind of bad. But think about World War II. Think about the people that had to deal with the uncertainty and the uncertainty then, because that wasn't uncertainty. I mean, they're going to get a handle on this. We know China is already starting to get a handle on it, and of course, let's face it, they probably dinked around longer than they should have with it. So that's why it took them a little longer. But we have some of the knowledge there, and that's why I think our recovery is going to be a lot quicker than theirs about getting a handle on this disease. You know, that took them. They were the first. So the persons that go down the first are going to take the longest to figure it out and get straightened out. We knew it was coming, so we were going to get a handle on this a lot quicker than the Chinese did. And you know, there's a lot of people spouting martial law. There's gonna be no martial law.
No, there's not.
There's not. Let's face it. This is not an uprising. You know, if people, the only reason why we'll have a martial law is people act like idiots, like the Spring Breakers did, and all went down there despite having a pandemic. You know, we keep doing stuff like that. That's going to cause martial law. But if we practice our due diligence, hang out inside for most of the time, go out for only when we need stuff, gasoline for our people that need to go to work. My girlfriend's an RN. She goes to work. She's going to work tomorrow. But I'm blessed in the fact that she is a visiting nurse, and the people that she visits are pre-screened for the virus with a questionnaire before she even gets sent to their house. And the fact is that the people that she's seeing are bedridden generally anyway, so that keeps her safe. But at least she's working. So people got to work, and we got to say our prayers for the first responders out there and for the people in healthcare, because they don't have a choice in this crap. We have to say a prayer for our people that are in retail, the grocery stores and the places that are staying open. And thankfully, like the local supermarket chain is actually paying their people $1 an hour more for doing what they're doing the next couple of months, because they have to go to work because they're essential. And imagine the workload they're going through. You know, if there's anybody underpaid right now, it's a person working in Walmart or working in a grocery store, because they got a lot of shelves to feed. You know, they got a lot of shelves to feed, which in turn feed us. So, and Ron, like Ron said, how about the people, you know, that work in cable? The people that are keeping our internet up, the people that are keeping our TVs working, because right now our televisions, hot damn, that's a pretty hot commodity now. That's important. It's important to have cable. It's important to have internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important that we bless those people also and keep them in our prayers.
Yeah.
They're
Put
keeping.
Bob's comment up there too, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Truck drivers. Yep. Amen. Amen. Anybody that has to go to work to keep this country moving forward, even in these tough times, I'm sending their prayers out to them.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the people in the healthcare and the first responders, they're on the front lines to this bullshit. Pardon my French. And, I pray for them to keep healthy, and I pray for everybody to keep healthy out there, even if you're in quarantine and you're out of work. Ron said that's very true. Right now, the cities would go up in flames without cable. Right now, yeah, we got a lot of bored people. Let's everybody keep the faith and keep strong. And guess what? We are going to be here next Sunday night, too, at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to keep on rolling. So
yeah,
that's my.
I got a feeling without any cable, New York City, instead of the people standing by the windows singing, they would probably be throwing Molotov cocktails out of those windows.
Well, no, you can't waste good alcohol now.
Well, I mean, probably got 99-cent gas now. So
Not in New York. I don't even have. My gas isn't even under $2 right now.
Well, that's the thing. I have heard that we got this 99-cent gas in Kentucky, but unfortunately, I can't take advantage of it because I'm afraid to go there.
Well, I'm not really afraid. I'm just doing what the government's asking me. I'm limiting myself going out.
Yeah,
because that's the only way we're going to beat it is let this thing die out. And frankly, I don't want to get sick.
Right.
And I don't want to be under a mandatory quarantine.
Right.
So, it's do your best. Let's act smartly. Let's not act with anger or act with, there's a lot of people that are angry, man.
Well, I had planned to take my youngest son out to New Mexico here at the end of this month. Well, actually the 1st of April, because they do a Trinity Ground Zero site tour twice a year. And I told him, a couple of weeks ago, I said, well, son, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to cancel this tour out there for Ground Zero because the way this virus is going, we can't take a chance in rest areas and, stuff like that. And I looked today, and they canceled the tour. So now I feel better.
Yep.
Because we couldn't have gone anyway now,
Yeah.
But
I had an event that was going on in Virginia, which I'm going to be actually, I was slated to come down to Virginia on April 25th to do a conference down there. And that has been postponed probably until August sometime. It is what it is. And, I speak from the state that has the most coronaviruses in the nation right now. And a lot of people like Chris was very concerned that, well, you're okay up there. New York's got a lot of cases. Well, 99%, I'm fine about, I don't want to throw out a statistic, but I'd probably say about 90% of the cases right now are coming out of New York City. And that's 150 miles from me. So that's a blessing. There is a good amount of cases in Albany County. There's a few cases in Rensselaer County. The first county actually to get any cases was in my county, which is Saratoga County. But even us, I don't think we're over 36 people that have been infected with this in our county. So that's a good thing. I'm very far removed from a lot of it, but you can't be too sure. And I'm gonna play it smart. That's what the government is asking me to do. Not to shelter in place. That's not something they've said. And you know what? I'm glad to say that, our governor, although I may disagree with him on a lot of political sides, he's been really great. And he came on and said, I'm not saying this is a shelter in place order. That's not what this is. This is, social distancing. And there's a difference. There's a difference. Only go out when you need to go out. Stay within 6. Don't come within 6 feet of people you don't know, and you'll be okay. And that's the way it is. I mean, what more can you do? What more can anybody do?
Mm-hmm.
Is it martial law? No, there's not going to be. Yes, they have tanks rolling out. They have all kinds of stuff because guess what? Yeah, they're setting up mobile hospitals just in case. New York City, especially. That's why they have the army out there, because they're providing the mobile hospitals. They're providing a hospital ship for New York City. It's amazing. But I will also say this: capitalism works because everybody's switching gears to a wartime footing, and companies that normally don't produce certain things are now producing surgical masks and PPE and stuff like that. And that's really essential to everybody. So let's just give it a breather and see how this next week unfolds. And that's my rant for the week. And I hope that gives some people some comfort. It'll be okay. And Bob makes a good point too. Use your debit card. Don't use cash. I agree. You don't want to be handling money. I feel sorry for the people that got to handle money, because the money changes hands so much. You don't know who's touched it. And money from New York City can make it up here pretty quick. So yeah, use your debit card. Good point, Bob. I agree with that 1,000%. But anyway, we'll give Abe some of the last words before we say goodnight to folks tonight. I'm sorry I went on a little bit of a rant there, but I felt that it was really important to kind of quell and to give people some reassurance.
No doubt. And that's what people need right now is reassurance. So, and I agree with everything you said. This too shall pass.
Amen. And, and Ron says, money launderer.
Good stuff.
But Abe, I am blessed to know you as a friend. And I look forward to the day we cross paths again. Well, if you come down to Ohio next year, I'll probably be down.
Right
so, I'm planning on plopping my behind down that way. And definitely, you're one of the most inspirational guys I know. You're truly an inspiration to a lot of folks out there. And you're a good example of how somebody can turn their shite around pretty damn quick. And I think the good man upstairs has a lot to do with that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, he's giving me the strength to turn my shine around really quick. So all the praise and glory goes to him. Yeah. I'd like to invite one and all to the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference this coming May 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Grand Rapids, Minnesota, at the Timberlake Lodge Hotel Event Center in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. You guys, I want to say thank you to Steve and Chris. As always, big hugs, you guys. Wait, elbow.
Check for print.
Check the print.
Thanks to all your wonderful listeners. Thank you guys for having me back on the show. Love every second of it. Thanks to all the people in the chat room, you guys. Check out Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team at mnbrt.com. Until next time, Lucive one signing out saying God bless, good night, and squatch on.
Squatch on, brother. And Bob says, till Abe, I'll bring some more homemade Polish kielbasa.
Yes.
Ooh, I
may
have to show up now, too.
Good stuff, man. Oh.
So, folks, on behalf of me and Chris, we want to wish everybody a safe, healthy week. Everybody stay strong. We'll be okay. We'll get through this. Like I say, buddy, God bless. And, of course, keep on squatching. We'll catch everybody next week here. Squatch-D TV, 9 p.m. Eastern, Sundays. You'll see the ads. You know where they'll find the live streams. We'll catch you all next week, folks.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
All I can remember is flip the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, in the whole mind, this isn't a man.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it, that was in midair going across the road in front of me.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail. And the whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right up the side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
There are thousands of perfect people whose word would be good on any other subject who describe getting a good look at an enormous hair-covered upright animal. And that is a fact.